You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. LSU is back on the practice field Tuesday morning. No media availability. There was, and then afterwards there was a media availability with the players. And some of the things we're starting to consistently see are some of the rotations, at least right now, at this point of spring practice. And for very obvious reasons, I'm keeping a close eye on the secondary. I mean, LSU was atrocious a year ago for a program that long had earned the reputation as DBU. To see what happened this past year was an atrocity. So Corey Raymond comes back. You obviously brought in some transfers, and hopefully some young players are growing up, and you're revamping what you're doing, and hopefully that all works. One of the players that spoke to the media today was Javin Toiano. And Toiano played a lot as a freshman this past year, and he's one of the guys that seems to have emerged right now as a starter, one of the starting cornerbacks. And Toiano was asked about learning under Corey Raymond. Here's what he said.
It's great for us. I mean, being able to just learn from the guy who's produced so many great, talented DBs. I learned a lot, just really how to hone in and techniques and different types of coverages that you play and different types of styles and stuff. So I'm learning a lot from him.
There's a great video up right now if you want to check it out on any of LSU's social media. It's a mic'd up with Corey Raymond, and you really get a sense. Just in a 2-minute mashup of Corey Raymond in the classroom and on the practice field, interacting with his players, of how detailed he is, why he's beloved, and all of those sort of things. I would highly recommend just spend the 2 minutes to go watch it. But what I think is most interesting as we continue to make our way through this spring practice and we start to see some of these rotations, it really feels like they've identified, certainly at the safety spot, what direction they're going to go to start. And it's with Jardin Gilbert, the Texas A&M transfer, Major Burns at the star position, and Sage Ryan. That's where they're starting. Anyway, real quick, the star position is new. This is something Blake Baker is bringing in. Here was Brian Kelly talking about Major Burns playing the star position. So listen to this, and I'm going to react to that because I think this is a smart thing to do with Major Burns.
The star gives you a lot more, I would say, versatility within your defensive structure. A guy that can play man coverage, a guy that can blitz, a guy that can play zone coverage, a really good tackler, athletic in space, but also, a guy that's rugged enough that, if you put a tight end, he can handle himself at the line of scrimmage. We felt like, Major, really fit that mold in terms of the star. He's closer to the football, and he has those skills that we were looking for.
Rugged in space and can play at the line of scrimmage. That feels like describing Major Burns. Major Burns is a big safety who, let's be honest, his shortcomings at LSU have been in the coverage aspect of the game. Where he has been good is being physical at the line of scrimmage. He can come downhill, he can stop the run. And so that sounds a lot like what Brian Kelly was describing. A guy that can, it's almost like that nickel Sam role, but it feels like that fits Major Burns. Asking Major Burns to go play on the back end was not a good option for LSU last year. This star position sounds like it fits him really well. That also means that kicks Sage Ryan back to safety, which is something else Brian Kelly talked about when he met with reporters.
Sage obviously is a guy that we moved around all over trying to find a spot for him. He's got speed, he's got athleticism. Obviously, that was a position that, needed some depth, and he provides obviously that experience that was lacking at that position.
Last year, Brian Kelly told us they were moving Sage Ryan to cornerback because they thought he was athletic enough and could tackle. Really, you moved Sage Ryan to corner because you didn't have any good cornerbacks, and you were just searching for a viable option. And so you put Sage Ryan there. The reality is that ain't Sage Ryan's best role. Now, Maybe he's athletic enough to cover and play that strong safety role if Jardin Gilbert's going to play free. Maybe a guy that played some corner for you last year with some coverage skills that you're not asking to go live out on an island can be better. I think my biggest takeaway from these early conversations about this defensive backfield, in particular the three safeties, all three of them, it feels like you're better at safety because while you have some of the same players, certainly with Ryan and with Major Burns, they're playing different roles and roles that probably suit them better. Keep in mind, last year, your starting safeties were Major Burns and Andre Sam. I like Major Burns at star way more than I like Major Burns at free or at strong safety. I like Sage Ryan way better at safety than I do at boundary corner. I like any of them more than Andre Sam. I hope that probably comes across brutal. I don't mean it that way, but Andre Sam was an undersized guy who was not ready for the speed of the SEC. He had played a lot of football. He was a veteran guy, but he routinely took bad angles, mostly because he didn't realize, hey, you're not running against dudes from Marshall anymore. You're trying to catch guys from Bama. It's different. So I think it's safety with Jardin Gilbert, who stepped on the field at A&M as a freshman in 21 and played 12 games, and then started 11 games in 2022, and then was the starter to start 2023 before he got injured. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's played a ton of football in the SEC and is a proven commodity at safety in Jardin Gilbert. Right there, Gilbert is immediately better than what you had a year ago in Andre Sam. Like, can we all agree? That's not even debatable. Jardin Gilbert, Andre Sam, dramatically different. You're better there. Sage Ryan, or in the spot Major Burns played last year, yes. Give me Sage Ryan at safety instead of Major Burns. The star position, that feels like that suits Major Burns' skill set more so. So, I'm not sitting here please don't misunderstand me. I get it. You're halfway through spring practice. And a lot of your players are still the same. The same guys that got torched a year ago. But I'm also going to say a lot of these guys were highly touted. They're good enough to get scholarship offers from LSU. And they should be better than triple digits in the country in every past defensive category. I'm not telling you that Blake Baker and Corey Raymond are going to take these dudes in 1 year and go from the 103rd pass defense to a top 10. That's not what I'm saying. But can you be top 50? Like, is that doable? Is it attainable to say, hey, we're just not going to be heinous. We're going to be respectable. And you're going to start recruiting at a level and developing at a level to where you're going to end up with dudes again in that secondary. But just don't be awful. Be 50% better than you were a year ago. And you're not great, but you're a far, far, far ways away from the worst defense LSU's ever fielded. And the other guy I'm going to tell you about, I'm going to bring up, is Deshaun McBride, because we keep hearing a lot about him. Deshaun McBride, depending on what scouting service you subscribe to, was the top or one of the top 2 or 3 highest rated prospects in this class for LSU. He's a low kid out of Denham, and he's a big physical safety, and they keep talking about him a bunch. And maybe there's an opportunity for Deshaun McBride as this season goes along, and the fact that he's an early enrollee serves him tremendously because he's going to have this spring and then fall camp that by the time you get to the season, I'm not going to say he's a veteran by that point, but it's going to feel much different for him than it would if he just showed up in June. I want to remind you, we've seen this before at that safety position where freakishly talented athletic dudes step on the field at LSU as a freshman and play a lot. In 2003, LaRon Landry played in all 14 games, started 10 of them. In 2010, Eric Reed, as a true freshman, played in every game, and by the final 3 games of the season was your starter at safety as a true freshman. And in 2014, Jamal Adams played in 13 games. He started 2. My point is, those are 3, just like Deshaun McBride, those are 3 freakishly athletic dudes who are highly touted safeties who showed up on campus, were ready to roll, and ended up playing a pretty key role for you in your defensive backfield. I'm not predicting that's going to happen with McBride, but the way they're already working him in, they're at minimum giving him the opportunity to do that. And that should be pretty exciting because he could be the next great one. Could be. It seems like they're at least grooming him to be that. I mean, it's just very obvious just with the roles these guys are playing and a little bit of the talent infusion with Jordan Gilbert. Obviously, you brought in Jair Brown at corner from Ohio State. A guy like Deshaun McBride, who's a high 4-star, freakishly athletic dude. You're already better than you were a year ago. The only question is, between now and whenever this season ends for LSU, how much better will you be from a year ago? But safety looks like it's one of those spots where you can already see materially they're going to be better just by a few tweaks. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.